So how's it going, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Briggs and I create content anything Yu-Gi-Oh and everything Yu-Gi-Oh. Today, guys, we're going to tackle a new deck profile for you in Master Duel. Well, basically, I'm running out of ideas, and well, some of the cards that I want to play with, it's not within my grasp. So basically, we're just gonna move towards another deck profile that is within my collection. With that being said, we are gonna tackle just the basic ones that we have right now, and of course, hopefully in the near future, we'll get the cards that we want to play out that archetype. Yeah, let's move towards Master Duel and check the deck that I'm gonna showcase to you guys today. So we are here in Master Duel, and of course the deck that I'm gonna showcase to you guys today is, so this is Dogmatika Invoked. I've tried a lot of variants for the Dogmatika Invoked, and yeah, it's not really new, it's not really popular, and it's not meta nowadays. It's pretty much a rogue deck. The deck is pretty good, gives out a lot of negates, a lot of disruptions, and basically if ever you summon your Shadow Winda to the field, it's a basic floodgate. So first and foremost, we are moving towards, in the main deck, 3 copies of Maxi, 3 copies of Ash Blossom. So you have here the DPE package, 1 Celestial, 1 Dasher, 2 copies of Fusion Destiny, and of course your DPE. Yeah. And then we move towards 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker, because Alistair is pretty good, increasing your fusion monsters attack by 1,000 if ever it's on your hand. Once you summon this, immediately it can search for an invocation. So that's why we have here Crossout Designator. If you are being negated by an Ash Blossom, you have Crossout Designator to, well, disrupt Ash Blossom. And then we move towards Dogmatika Ecclesia the Virtuous, so you can spell summon this monster to your side of the field. Now this might be hindering you to actually summon fusion monsters to your side of the field, but most often of times it's not really a problem, because once you summon Dogmatika Ecclesia to your side of the field, you can actually get a hold of a copy of it's either Maximus or Fleur de Lis, and Fleur de Lis increases your attack of all Dogmatika monsters on your side of the field once it's summoned, and of course it can target and negate one opponent's monster on the field. Dogmatika Maximus, on the other hand, can actually just cut down the amount of, or the number of extra deck monsters your opponent has, and of course if ever you have thrown Elder Entity Entis from your extra deck, you can pop 1 card on the field. Not only that, of course, with El Shaddai monsters you are sending to the graveyard, you can get a hold of your El Shaddai cards from your deck. So that is that. Next, we have 1 copy of a Kaiju. Any Kaiju would matter, but Radiant or even the Light Kaiju would be better for this deck. And then we move forward to Dogmatika Fleur de Lis, which is pretty good. 3 copies of Dogmatika Maximus, like I said. 1 copy of Nibiru. There in some cases we can use 2 copies of Nibiru and then cut off a copy of Called by the Grave, but Called by the Grave is pretty good, just removing those problematic hand traps. And of course 2 copies of Nibiru will cause you to actually brick from time to time, so having 1 copy is enough. And not only that, Nibiru is a light monster, which of course can move you towards, if ever you can summon your shadow monsters to your side of the field, so it's pretty good. Now for your magic and traps, we have here Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Terraforming, 2 Invocation. Now in my previous video with the Invoked deck profile that I have, a friend of mine said, why not use 2 copies, since of course if ever Invocation is banished or whatsoever, your Alistair Invoker it's gonna be useless. So yeah, having 2 Invocations is pretty good actually, but yeah, having 2 is just enough. 1 is okay, but 3 is like excessive. So next you have your 2 Fusion Destiny, like I said, 2 Dark Ruler No More. Now Dark Ruler No More is pretty good if ever you're going out second and your opponent has an established board. Now you can just Dark Ruler No More and all their effects will be negated, or they can't use their effects for that specific turn. So that's that. 1 Endear Servant, just to get your Elder Entity Entis to the grave and then pop 1 card in the field. And then you have 2 copies of Magical Meltdown, just to search for your Invoker and then to pop off your combo after that. 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 2 copies of Crossout Designator, 1 copy of Forbidden Droplet, 1 copy of Infinite Impermanence. Now this is because we have 2 copies of Crossout Designator, and then you have 2 copies of Dogmatic Banishment just to pop 1 card on the field by sending 1 monster on your extra deck to the graveyard. And then lastly, you have your Shadow Schism, just for actually efficiently summoning your Shadow monsters from your extra deck. Now for your extra deck, we have 1 copy of Elder Entity Entes, 1 copy of Invoked Kaliga, 2 copies of El Shaddai Winda, 1 copy of El Shaddai Apkalone, 2 copies of El Shaddai Construct, 1 copy of Invoked Mageladica, 1 copy of Invoked Algodes, 1 DPE, 2 copy of Invoked Mekaba, 1 Secure Gardna, 1 Salamangreat Almirage, and lastly, your very own Predaplan Verte Anaconda. Now, this is the deck profile for you guys today. Let's move on to the replays. So here we are, guys, in the replays, and to start off, we lost the coin toss. We got Maxi, Destiny Hero Dasher, 1 Maximus, 1 Magical Meltdown, and 1 Dogmatic Punishment. So he's starting off first. We're going up against Trap Chicks here, so let's see. Summon Murmelo to the field. I didn't chain with my Maxi because I know for a fact he's gonna link off that monster to his Sira. And Murmelo is gonna get a trap hole card. And the best thing about Trap Tricks is that Sira is unaffected by any trap cards. It's pretty good actually. And they're mostly protected by the back rows, or their back rows. So we got a copy of Invocation out of that, and another copy of Maxi on our draw phase. So we used Magical Meltdown, summon our Invoke to the field. We got Torrential Tributed. So that's basically it. But we searched for Invocation after within that. Nevertheless, it was okay. So Sira is gonna activate its effect since the trap card is activated. We then chain with our Maxi. So that's it. We summon Murmelo to the field. We got a hold of Dogmatic Maximus. And then Sira's effect, set 1 back row, which is Gravedigger's Trap Hole, a nasty card to be actually summoned. We did move towards Invocation. Nevertheless, we got Called by the Grave. So that's one of the cases there for, or the downside for Invoke. Nevertheless, we got a hold back with Invoke because, well, he banished our card, and Invocation just get a hold of our Alistair the Invoker from out of play if you have Invocation in your graveyard. So we got a hold of our Alistair the Invoker and then move towards Fusion Summoning once more with our second copy of Invocation. We summon Mekaba to the field. He uses a Trap Hole card. So Floodgate Trap Hole is activated. We then chain with Mekaba since we have a Trap Hole card on hand. That is that. And then attack his Sira for 1,700 to his life points. And our turn. Now this is not the best of end boards, but yeah, it works perfectly for this deck. So Murmelo is then linked off to Sira once more on his turn. Activate Ice Dragon's Prison. So the only thing in my deck or my graveyard is actually a Spellcaster, so he cannot banish that card. He's gonna use the effect of Sira, and then I think he's not reading, so Mekaba will be chained to that and then banish his Sira out of play. He ends his turn with a heavy defense of 3,000 from my monster. I used Dogmatica Ecclesia's effect to spell summon it to the field. Problem was, I forgot that there was a Gravedigger's Trap Hole there. So yeah, that was my bad actually. So I just normal summoned Ecclesia and will hopefully get a copy of Fleur de Lis. He has another copy of Ice Dragon's Prison. At this point on, he banished my monster with my copy of Alistair the Invoker, which was pretty good actually because there was another Invocation in my graveyard and I can just retrieve Alistair the Invoker from that. I draw into Dogmatica Fleur de Lis, and then he chained for Maxi. Well, basically I just negated Maxi and then dropped my Fleur de Lis to the dropped my the Dasher to the graveyard. Was it Dasher that I dropped? Yeah, Dasher to the graveyard. Summon my Fleur de Lis to the field. Get a copy of my Invoker and then do battle just to increase the attack of my Fleur de Lis to 3,000, and that's basically it. Now on his turn, I think he scooped here. Yeah, he scooped. So yeah, that's the problem with also with trap checks. A ton of back rows, but mostly their monsters is ran by just their link with which is Sarah. Just remove Sarah from the field and that's basically their game. So the next game we have here, guys, is we actually won the coin toss and we got Ash Blossom, Alistair the Invoker, 1 Kaiju, 1 Nibiru, and 1 Fusion Destiny. Now, this is a good hand actually. So to start off, we're summoning our Alistair the Invoker to the field. We got impermed right away. Nevertheless, it was fine. It was fine. There we go. We move towards summoning Almirage. And then we move towards Fusion Destiny. That's basically our well, move there because there's no other move we can do. And our turn there, and on his turn, I think we're going up against B Troopers. Yeah, B Troopers. There we go. So it's basically more insect monsters to the field, and even way back during the inception of Yu-Gi-Oh, insects have a more swarm playstyle. I think it just actually is for insect decks. By the way, that is why it's easier for them to link off to higher cards or higher monster cards. So that was a mistake that I did actually. Destroyed their link monster, and then you can just summon B Trooper once more. So yeah, he got B Trooper Sting Lancer, which we already got Nibiru, by the way. He returned my DPE to my extra monster zone, which is fine. I used Nibiru here because this is gonna end his turn. I think yeah, this is actually my misplay here. I dropped Armor Horn to the graveyard. And that's, yeah, he summoned a lot of insect monsters to his side of the field. Surprising enough, he didn't actually use some of the effects of his monsters, which was pretty good actually. He can link climb to higher monsters. I'm not sure if he has the their link boss monster for the B Troopers. Nevertheless, Access Code Talker is no fun bit. Having a 5/300 monster in the field is pretty good. So nevertheless, we got Magical Meltdown out of that. Got a copy of our Invoker, and well, that's it with our Kaiju, and that's basically the game. So here we are, guys, in the last game for this replay. We won the coin toss, and we got Nibiru, 1 Terraforming, 1 Cold by the Grave, 1 Fusion Destiny, and lastly 1 Shaddoll Schism. So let's start. We got our Terraforming to get a copy of our Magical Meltdown. We got Ash Blossom for that, but nevertheless, we got Cold by the Grave just to negate his Ash Blossom. So there we go. Then come forth our Magical Meltdown. Magical Meltdown is going to be activated. Get a copy of our Invoker. Summon Invoker to the field. Get a copy of Invocation. And then we link off to Almirage, and Almirage will then link off to Secure Guard. Now at this point we can use Nibiru, but I'm not sure what kind of deck we are going up against, so just having this in hand is a resource that I am willing to just skip. So we summon Mekaba to the field, and then get a hold of our Invoker once more by the use of Invocation. And then use our Fusion Destiny for protection and pop 1 card on your opponent's side of the field. Set our Schism. Oh, we didn't set our Schism here. What game was it? Oh. Nevertheless, so on his turn, he summoned his very own DPE. So I'm still pinning down what kind of deck I'm going up against. He's gonna attack my Mekaba. I chain with my Alistair and Invoker. He's gonna use the effect of his DPE. Well, just basically negate it. Banish his DPE and then move towards his end phase. Well, basically that's that. That's how you deal with DPE. So summon DPE once more, and I think that's the game. Is it the game? It was only turn 3. Yeah, he scooped there. So that's basically more on people scooping to this deck. So yeah, the deck is pretty good, but it lacks somewhat of a gas when you're trying to move towards some combos. And yeah, having just Mikaba or even DP on the field, it's not really a strong end board. But nevertheless, that is the replays, guys. And that is the replays, guys. That is the deck profile as well. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Keep safe, good luck, and have a good day, guys. See you. Bye-bye.